Ladies and Finns, Andy here, day 251 of the Inner Winner Show. Here's a really inspiring interview I did with a guy named Andy. Yes, this guy stole my name. This Andy is in Finland. So he's made a ton of changes in his life, including gaining a ton of strength in the gym, getting into med school, improving his appearance, and becoming a more confident, well-rounded person. So we talked about his experiences with magic mushrooms and how that changed his life, getting into med school with only 4 months worth of preparation, why obsession and going all in are absolutely mandatory, how you can get started in the gym even if you've never been, and why improving your appearance is the absolute best thing you can do for your chances with women. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this interview, particularly if you've been struggling to start with your own self-improvement journey. And he really is an inspiration. And if you do get something out of this podcast, please leave a comment and let him know, and I'll pass on your feedback to him. And if you feel like you need coaching or a push to start your own self-improvement, I'm here. Send me an email, I'll coach you, or I'll give you some counseling. So link in the description below to that. Enjoy. You sent me this really long email, like a really long email. It was like the longest email that I think I've ever received. It was like 6 pages. You put it in like an actual letter, like in an actual Word document. And you basically talked about like all the changes that you'd made in your life. And the timing you sent me that, dude, I want to say thank you. Because like the timing when you sent me that, I was having a really bad day, like a really bad day. And you sent me that. And one other person sent me another email, but it was like much shorter than yours. But like you both sent me those emails, yours especially, and I read through it and I was reading through it and I was like, I really needed this today. I said to Imogen, my girlfriend, I was like, I really needed this today. So like, thank you. Seriously, I was having a really shit day. Like reading through your email and like all the changes that you've made in your life. Like you spent a bit of time saying like, Andy, I really appreciate you. And I was like, dude, like I needed to hear that today. So like, thank you, dude. Like, I'm really glad you wrote that. And somewhere at the end of the letter, you said like, I don't know if you're going to read this letter. I did. So like, thank you. Yeah.
That's really nice to hear that it made your day. Like
It really did.
I
I was
was,
having a really bad day.
what happened? Like, what happened during that day?
I was just like stressed. I was stressed to hell. Yeah, having doubts. That's part of like any journey. You know that as well as I do. Like you have doubts. You have days where it's just bad and you're like, am I even going to
Yeah,
make
it's
it?
true.
Am I going to get there? And that was one of those days. Because for context, this was like a month or so ago. You sent me the email,
Yeah, I don't
roughly.
remember the exact date, but it was pretty long time ago.
Yeah. So it was just a bad day. I got the email and it like really cheered me up. And so I want to talk a little bit like about your story, some of the changes that you've made, like where you started, where you're at now. I want to talk about like you getting into like med school or like university, like, because that's interesting. That shit's interesting to me. I always love those stories, and I'll try not to spoil too far ahead, but like, let's start like kind of at the beginning, but maybe not like right where you started in the email. I'll quickly give like the tiniest bit of context and then you can, jump in
Yeah,
from there.
sure,
So,
sure.
you started like you missed out on romance early on, which was like me as well. And you said one of the friends groups or one of the friends in your group called you like the virgin bunch. Like you guys, which dude, that was like me and my friends too. We just had like no interest in girls. It was so weird. We would just like only play sports and video games and we would like teach ourselves to program and we just like ignored girls. Like we just had nothing to do with them. And like, I know you're a bit of a nerd. You said you played like RuneScape for like 15 hours a day or something. Why are you cringing? Like no one on the video, no one will see the video. I can see the video. No one else can because we've kept you anonymous. But like, why are you cringing when I say RuneScape? Like, do you regret playing that much or?
No, I don't really regret playing RuneScape that much because it was kind of like the place where I learned like English very early on. But just the
Yep.
amount of hours that I've spent playing that game just made me think that if I had done like anything else, like played the
Yeah.
piano and you know, like I could have
Yeah.
spent that time using something productive. But it's just kind of funny to think how much time I've spent playing that game.
But I feel like, because how old were you at the time? Like what, 16, 17?
I started playing the game on first grade, like I was 7 years old, I think, and I
Okay.
quit when I was like 21. So,
Okay.
like 14 years, I think.
But when you're young, dude, like you spend your time on the dumbest shit. I spent my time on so much dumb stuff. Like kids will just do the dumbest stuff. So I don't think you should regret it like that bad. And it seems like you've more than made up for it in the time since. But like, yeah, if I think back to how much time I spent playing like my like video games that like I wasn't even necessarily like loving them. And I'm sure you enjoyed RuneScape, but like, yeah, man, I spent so much time. So I feel you on that. And that's like a lot of guys that I talk to and like a lot of guys on my forums and stuff. Yeah, they RuneScape. You're like the fifth person to mention RuneScape. I have 2 coaching clients. I'm not joking, 2 coaching clients right now that either play RuneScape and want to play less or just used to play it all the time. Like that
Yeah,
game.
it's a fun game, like, and I
Yeah.
don't like think that playing is bad in itself. Like, it's a fun way to spend time, but at certain point, like when you start sort of adopting more responsibility and start getting your life together, like the time you have available for gaming just kind of starts to go down, at least for me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. You mentioned responsibility. Like, was that what helped you start turning things around and start improving yourself? Was it this sense of like, I have to start taking more responsibility for my life?
Yeah, I think that it was actually the sort of primary motivator for me to start sort of getting a grip on my life, and I understood that was possible through adopting responsibility in different ways.
I Tell me if you like, I used to hate the word responsibility. Like I used to think like, no, like that's what old people do. Like I hate responsibility. And I had a friend who mentioned to me, dude, you don't have enough responsibility in your life. Like he mentioned there's a speaker, Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson talks a lot about responsibility. And this friend of
I don't
mine said
know.
like,
I don't know if you noticed, but I have a picture of him at my
oh,
wall.
dude, okay. No one's going to be able to see that, but like, yeah, none of the audience can see that, but it's like a weird, not weird. It's like I don't even know. I'm not good with artistic terms. It's like a very surrealist kind of picture of Jordan
Yeah,
Peterson's portrait.
it's like really colorful, and it has like
Yeah,
these weird bits. Like, yeah,
it's
I just
exactly
like that
what
guy very much.
I like him too. Like he's fucking awesome. So this friend of mine sent me a couple of videos from Jordan Peterson talking about responsibility, and I can remember at the time saying like, "Screw you, I don't need responsibility." And then like a few months later, like maybe a year later, I started being more responsible. Like, okay, maybe I need to start taking responsibility for my own life and how I treat other people and how I treat women and the relationships that I get into. Maybe I can't just have like crazy casual sex where I just treat them like shit and don't worry about their feelings. And as soon as I started adopting responsibility towards my family as well, once I started having more responsibility, yeah, it turns out Jordan Peterson isn't just an idiot. Like he knows what he's talking about. And my life drastically improved as soon as I started taking on that responsibility. It made me a lot happier, made my life feel a lot more fulfilling. So what what changes did you start with? Like what was the first?
Mm,
I know the answers to these questions, but like the audience doesn't. So for someone who doesn't know, like what did you start with?
Before I answer that, I want to comment that I think that the word responsibility has kind of suffered from an inflation. Like, really, too many people kind of use it without actually thinking about it, what it actually means. Like, when I talk about responsibility, I mean, like, kind of personal responsibility, sort of being accountable for your
Okay.
actions, stuff like that. Um, but for me, the sort of change started when I did mushrooms for the second time in my life. That was just a extremely interesting experience. I kind of got this new perspective on myself. It completely changed my self perception. Like, I
Mhm.
saw myself making these really bad decisions, and I kind of understood during the trip that all of the previous decisions that I've made um, were sort of, that's the reason why I was in the. I'm thinking if I'm going to phrase this. Sorry if this is a bit awkward.
That's all right. English isn't your first language, even though you're
Yeah,
literally speaking perfectly fluent English. Like,
yeah, I'm too self-conscious about it, but I kind of understood that the choices that I made directly influenced the future that I'm going to find myself in,
mhm,
something like that. And
mhm.
that realization that I could affect the way things are going to happen based on my actions, that was kind of the turning point. It was a really deep realization, and it's sort of difficult to verbalize how it felt. But yeah, it was the mushroom trip that actually kind of got me out of the sort of wheel of making bad decisions.
And that can happen sometimes. Like I've taken LSD like a lot of times. Like I don't even know how many times, maybe 50 times. But the
Wow,
first
that's a
few
lot.
times, yeah. Now to be fair, not every one of those was a big trip. I prefer to take the minimum amount I possibly can to get whatever wanting to get out of it. So if I have an issue that I want to deal with or something, I'll take like the tiniest amount. So I'm not even getting any psychedelic experiences. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not having any like hallucinations or anything. It's just like the minimum amount to basically like get myself to that point. But for anyone who hasn't taken it, and we're not saying that you should or shouldn't. In fact, you didn't go on to take it. I think you tried LSD or something on top of that and
Yeah,
then
I
decided,
yeah,
okay.
I think I tried like LSD twice when I was 18. I was still in high school, but I
Mhm.
didn't have a good time of it. So I later tried mushrooms. The last time I did mushrooms was the last time I did psychedelics, and it
Yeah.
was over 2 years ago.
And we'll talk about that in a second because I do want to talk about that because you got to a point where you were like, okay, I think I got everything out of this that I want to get out of it. I don't need to do this again. What? So we're not saying you should do mushrooms or LSD. It's your life, make your own
Yeah,
decisions, do a
absolutely.
lot of
Like,
research. Yeah.
yeah, like I would never like recommend to someone like
Yeah.
go
Neither would I.
500 micrograms of acid. Like it's
Yeah.
not a good idea.
Yeah. Agree 100%. If you listen to every time I mention it, I make it clear I'm not telling you to do this. You need to do your own research. Don't just take this stuff. It's like someone
Potent.
holding up. Yeah. It's and in a way that you can't imagine until you try it the first time. That's why every time I tried it, the first 10 times, I took the lowest dose and then I slowly little bit more and more each time until it was like the 10th time I took it before I even tripped properly, like before I even saw something, because I was so shit scared because I'd done a bunch of research and I'd read like 15 books on it and all the Timothy Leary, and he's someone who talks about this stuff. I went deep on this stuff, man. I read so much. I was so terrified. And like, I'm glad I was gentle with it and took my time because when you're in the middle of that trip, you can't turn it off. Like,
Yeah, that's probably the worst part. Like when
yeah,
you sort of realize that you're starting to kind of lose your mind and you can't do anything
yeah,
about it. That's
yeah, yeah. It can be very confronting. But I think what I got out of a lot of my trips, and it sounds like you did, is like it's basically a good it's a way of like pausing your entire life and just like you stop and it's like you get to step outside yourself and just look at yourself and say, what am I doing? What got me to this point? What decisions am I making that are good for me or bad for me, like taking me away from my goals? What do I want to do going forwards? And like you said before, it's almost like you get to hit pause and step back and say like, okay, here's the timeline of my life. Like before I did all these choices and they led to this thing here. It's like you get a better perspective on what
yeah,
you've done and what's led you up to it.
that's a very accurate description of what it does, and I think that the phrase "get outside of yourself" that's kind of the thing that I'm talking about, and I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about because you've done those
Yeah, for
substances.
sure. It's like you're looking at yourself in third person and you can properly see, because to be fair, when you go through your day-to-day life, you're kind of like very focused on what you're doing right now. You're busy. I got bills to pay, I got coaching clients to do, I got to hang out with my girlfriend, I got to do like you have 500, in your case, I'm going to university, you've got like 500 things that you're thinking about. And if you don't want to take psychedelics, there are other ways you can do the same thing that we're talking about. Go into the woods or something for a day and just sit there. Go sit on the beach for 5 hours and just think. Just do nothing. Don't take your phone. Go sit on a train without your phone and just stare out the window for like 3 hours. Go for a walk for like 4 hours without your phone. No distractions, just sit there, meditate, do a flotation tank, like a sensory deprivation tank, like any of these things. I've done all of these things and they all give you basically the same thing as LSD or magic mushrooms, just like less intense. It's like and it's obviously you're not taking a drug, so you don't have to worry about side effects. You can stop it at any point. You can get off the train or you can stop meditating. But essentially what we're talking about here is like taking a step back and saying, I'm not happy with, where my life is going. So at that point where you weren't necessarily happy with what you'd done, you tried mushrooms, you had all these realizations. Was it for you like you had these realizations and then the next day or like the next week you were like, okay, I'm going to go out and like change some things? Was it like immediate?
Yes and no. Like certain things were immediate. Like
Mm,
I think I mentioned that I kind of realized that I don't want to use like any substances that changed sort of my consciousness like ever
yeah.
again. Like that includes like stuff like alcohol as well. And
Hmm.
after that, I've never done those things. Like it just
Hmm.
completely like dropped out from my life at once. But sort of the bigger realizations took a longer time to integrate, like almost
Hmm.
a year. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Keep going. Yeah.
um because there's just so much sort of new psychic material that you kind of get introduced into your consciousness after like a really deep trip. So it's just really difficult to integrate those huge truths and realizations
Yeah.
into yourself. Like it takes a lot of time to process those things.
Hmm.
So I think it was about a few months that I actually started. It took a few months after the trip that I actually started to improve myself.
Mm. Yeah.
Like I think when I did it, it was February of 2019, and it kind of ended at the like uh how can I phrase this? It was February of 2019 when I did the mushrooms, and I had
Mm.
just quit my job. Like I was unemployed, and I still kept like playing RuneScape like 15 hours a day for like 3 months after the trip. But at the point, like when I ran out of money, I had to move back in with my parents. That was actually the point that was like the fundamental change. Like I didn't have any money, like I didn't have any ambitions, and I just kind of realized that this has to change. And it
Hmm.
all started with like going to the gym for the first time, getting a job, like stuff like that. And at that time, sort of the integration started to kind of kick in, if you know what I mean.
That happens sometimes with guys. Like I kind of did that myself. It's like almost like you have to hit rock bottom. Like you have to run
Yeah,
out of
that yeah
money. Yeah.
yeah
And you
that
get to a
exactly.
point.
That was what I was talking about. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like bad enough. The trip like didn't put me in a place that was bad enough for me to realize that this can't go on. Something like that.
Yeah. And that happens sometimes. You have, it's almost like in a lot of movies and books and stuff like that, the way people talk about it or the way they frame it is like you'll just have like one moment where you just turn it all around. And that can happen sometimes, sure. But a lot of the time, what happens is you have that moment and then maybe you have to have that lesson again a couple of months later. Maybe you need to learn it again. Like there are a lot of things that like a lot of the goals that I've achieved, I had to learn those lessons like 10 times. Like I had to hit like 10 rock bottoms, so to speak. I had to make 10 mistakes. Like I had to keep going back and going like, oh my God, like why am I doing this again? Like, especially if you're talking about giving up. We're not talking about it now, but like giving up an addiction. Like a lot of people think you just have that moment where you're like, I'm never drinking again. Like a lot of the time, recovery looks like you're good for 3 months, then you fuck up again, then you're good for 6 months, then you fuck up again, then you're good for a month, you fuck up. You keep doing that. And then eventually it gets longer and longer, like the times between doing the behavior. There aren't, I say most people who give up an addiction, when we're talking about an actual addiction, screw up like 20 or 30, 50, 100 times before they finally get it and they finally have that point where they're like, okay. And even then, like they might screw up again, but they don't care because it's like, I'm only going to screw up every 20 years. So what does that matter? Like that's not even
Yeah,
that bad a screw
definitely.
up.
Like most people, like probably won't be able to sort of just pull themselves out of a really long and hard addiction just like
Yeah.
by snapping their fingers. It's gonna take many relapses, and it's not going to be like a linear process.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So let's get back to you. And
Sure.
after you had your trip and you ran out of money, what did you work on first? Because you talked about like you went to the gym, you went on a date with a girl, like the first girl you dated. Like, what's the timeline there? Like, what did you do first?
Basically, it was about two things. It was about getting a job,
Hmm.
so that gave me sort of a consistent daily routine,
Hmm.
and also going to the gym. Like it was like I think that going to the gym was more intimidating than trying to apply for a job after like being unemployed for like 4 months, because like everybody's like really intimidating and
And
everything
they're all
everything's
attractive, and yeah.
yeah, you know that what I mean about
Hmm.
sorry, you know
I
what
was exactly the
what
same, dude. I was so terrified. I've talked about this before. I couldn't go. I tried so hard to go to the gym. And in the end, I just had to say to one of my mates, hey, I can't go to the gym by myself. Can you go with me? And he's like, yeah, sure. What do you mean? And I was like, I've never gone to a gym. And he's like, what? Never? And I was like, yeah, I can't go by myself. And he's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take you. And I had to go with him like for the first 2 weeks. And then I was okay going to the gym. It is intimidating. Like it can be if you've never been.
Yeah, it's the going to the gym for the first time is the hardest part. But when you just kind of take a step back and realize that all the people who are there have at some point been like there for the first time, like they've
Yeah.
been through the same days. You're just you just realize that it doesn't matter. Like everyone just uh, is there lifting, and if you keep doing the same thing for like 2 or 3 years, you're going to be the dude who people who come to the gym for the first time look as. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
That was my goal too. I legitimately I wanted to get to a point where someone would see me deadlifting. That was like the lift. That's the lift I care the most about. I was like, I want someone to look at me deadlifting and say that's a lot of weight. And I had that at some point when I was at the point where I was at like 150 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds. And I could do like sets of 5 with that. I was like, people would, not everyone, because it's not like the world's best lift, but like some people would start looking. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I can, if I keep going, like people will start looking up to me. That's when this stuff becomes like really fun. Like
Yeah,
when you
I
become
know
that
that.
guy.
Yeah, when I hit 150 for the first time, like I remember, like it was just such a cool moment when I saw like
Yeah.
two dudes just like looking like, what is that dude like doing?
Because what did you start at? Like what was when you first went to the gym, what was the first amount of weight that you deadlifted?
I think it was like 50 kilos, probably even less. And
That's
like
way
my
more than me. Mine was like 30 kilos. I was so weak.
my bench press was even worse. It was pretty much like the bar itself was
Oh
like 20
no.
kilos.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
I was
just
there
so
too.
awkward. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like when you're a beginner, it's just really easy to get and see your results. So it's just very motivating in the
Yeah.
beginning because you can just like immediately see the results of
Yep.
your sort of exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. And it starts feeling good. Like the first maybe 5 times you go to the gym, you feel a bit awkward, a bit clumsy. You don't quite know. You're kind of like moving side to side. You don't feel strong. You don't know what you're doing. You feel a bit off balance, like you're going to fall over. But if you keep at it, you keep practicing, eventually you get to a point where you know how it feels. You know how to squat, you know how to bench, you know how to deadlift, whatever it is you're doing, you know how to do dumbbell curls and all that sort of stuff. You figure out how the machines work if you're using machines. And then it starts to become really fun because then you start to see the actual progress. Like, I, I don't know about you, but the most motivating thing for me early on was when I could, I would hit my maximum, like the most amount of weight that I could do for, I don't know, let's say like 5 sets of 5 reps on bench press, right? If that was like 25 kilos, I'd do that and I'd really struggle and I'd get that last rep out and then I'd be like, okay, I did it. I did it. That was so hard. That took everything I had, but I did it. And then like a couple days later, you'd come back, you'd add more weight to the bar and like you could do that. And you're like, how? How? That before what I did was almost impossible. How can I do this? This is more weight. And that's when this stuff starts to become fun. When you
Yeah,
realize like I'm getting stronger.
that's exactly the feeling that gets you addicted to going to the gym. Like
Yeah.
it's a huge feeling.
Yeah. It's like you know how people joke that like guys like to measure their dicks or they measure their bank accounts or they measure their wallets or they measure their cars. It's like you do that in the gym too. It's like you like to see the number go up. And like you're like, last week I could only do 25 kilos on bench press. Now I can do like 30. Like it does make you feel it's validating. It feels amazing. A lot of people think of like the gym as like this hard thing. And it is like I have to push myself to go to the gym. Some days I want to be lazy, sure. But like it becomes motivating in itself just when you look at the numbers and the numbers keep going up like nothing else, ignoring even how your body feels because that's motivating as well. But just those numbers themselves each week going up. Guys like seeing numbers. Guys are weird. We like seeing numbers, right? That's why you played RuneScape, so your level could go up, so your stats could go up. Like we like numbers, and the gym is
Yeah,
like the ultimate place for numbers.
I didn't think it actually that way, but it's actually kind of similar now that you mention it. That
Yeah,
there's this like real concrete number that you can
yeah.
actually measure and see. Like
Hmm.
it just makes it so much more tangible.
Yeah. Yeah. You can literally look back and say, 3 months ago, I could only bench press 20 kilos. Now I can do 60. I've tripled my strength. Oh my God. Like that's insane. What happens if I go for another like 6 months? What can I do then? And that keeps, obviously your gains eventually slow down after you've been going to the gym for like 3 years. You're not making as many gains, but you're still making gains. They just slow down a bit. But yeah, this stuff's like very incredibly motivating.
True. And I think it's just kind of like a built-in tendency for men. I don't think it's only men, but like if you can measure your progress, it's much more motivating to do pretty much anything, I think.
Yeah, I think men are more nerdy with numbers. Like we just like the numbers. We just like seeing that number is bigger than it was last week. We just like that. I don't know why. We just like numbers. Girls do a little bit, but like not quite as much as us. They're not as nerdy as us. Like there's a reason most guys are the engineers and stuff like that because we just like numbers. Like
Yeah, that's true.
which-
That's absolutely true.
yeah, yeah. So let's segue a little bit and talk about. I want to hear about like your first date because you're still a virgin. Like, were you a virgin when you started going to the gym? You're laughing, but
Yeah,
like, this is a cool story. I like this story. I want to hear the full story,
yeah,
your own words.
yeah. I was working in this summer job. It was like an amusement park,
Hmm.
and it had like a really lot of young people in it, like a lot of like girls, and I don't remember who it was, but some girl like I was wait what was my role in that summer job? I was like a sort of like a security guard, not exactly, but like
Okay.
a community service officer or something. And like the people who worked there had kind of like their own departments. Some people were like working at the shops and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
one of these girls who was working at the uh, restaurant or something came and asked the security guard officers like if we want to go and like spend time somewhere. And then we went out, and she wait. I think I'm remembering this story like, bro. Can I think about this for a second? Like,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, you don't have to get it perfectly, dude. When I try and remember stories from like, I have to like write it down almost because like your brain is so bad at remembering exact details when it's like a couple years ago.
yeah, but I'm actually conflating like two different stories. I just realized that this was a different situation. The girl, there was like this water park with like the amusement park composed of like two parts. There was the actual
Hmm.
amusement park, and there was also like a water park. And the
Yep.
security community service officers like had to work in both of those.
Hmm.
And in the water park, there was this like really good looking girl. I think she was like a year older than me, and we were sort of in the same situations. Like the people who work, they just go and chat with each other all the time, and I just like she was really good looking, and I just had this feeling that I want to ask her out, and
Which is really
I,
ballsy for a virgin, by the way.
yeah, I
Like,
know. Like I was so fucking nervous. Like I just went and talked to her, and there were like other people around us, so it was like even like more nervous for me. But I kind of just started chatting with her, and eventually we were having a good conversation, and I asked her just like flat out if she has a boyfriend, and
mhm.
she said that she doesn't have a boyfriend, like she's free. And then I just kind of like asked her number, like if she wants to go out. Like I didn't have any sort of idea on how to ask a girl out,
Yeah.
so it was just like so awkward. Like I didn't know what to say, but she said yes. She gave me
Mhm.
her number, and we went out. I think the next weekend.
You can't cut
Um,
the story off there.
yeah, I was trying to think. What did we do? We went to like see this movie, like this really shit, low budget scary movie or something. And while we were, shit, this story is about to get so awkward. But I was really nervous when I like picked up this girl. I was using like my mom's car or something.
Yeah.
We drive to the movie theater, and we go to the movie theater, the whatever it's called, where the movie actually is played in,
Mhm.
like the hall, whatever, and
Cinema.
cinema, yeah. And around in the middle of the movie, I kind of like try to put my hand you know, on the
Yeah, 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 yeah. You just pretend like you're not actually touching her. You're just like you have it on the chair.
yeah. Uh, and she just kind of looks at me like, "What are you doing?" And I just kind of like freeze, and I just pull my hand back.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah. And then like I had like taken like too much to drink, and I was like, I had like,
Did you pee on her? Did you pee on her?
no, no, I did not
Okay,
pee on her. Like I
good.
almost peed my pants, and I was like, should I ask her, like, is it okay for her if I go to the bathroom? Like I was so nervous about this like little things that I had
Yeah,
to like
yeah,
ask her permission for everything. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
I was like that too. Like everyone's like that when they haven't had a lot of experience with dating. Yeah.
Mm,
You don't know what you're
yeah,
supposed to do.
exactly. Like I didn't have like any mental framework on
Yeah.
how to like be on dates and how to like
Hmm.
be with women, and it just made things pretty awkward. But I just kind of accepted that if you want to learn something, you have to be sort of bad at it first.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the main thing that I took out of that experience wasn't that got to get out with, like, I got a date with a girl. It was more like I did it for the first time, and like after that I could do it again and get
Yep.
better at it. Like of course I was completely shit like when I started doing it, but yeah.
So did you end up sleep? Is this the first girl you slept with?
No, I didn't sleep with
Okay.
her. Like it was just so awkward that we met like the second time. Uh, no, we met like after the first date. We did have a second date, but it didn't go too well either. Like it went
Mhm.
better than the first date, but like I think that she just kind of found me so awkward that we didn't see again. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, that happens. You see that with a lot of guys when I was awkward as hell the first like few times I was like,
Mm,
trying to go out with a girl and stuff because you just don't know what to do. And so we laugh. Like we're laughing now. It's easy for us to laugh now, but if you're listening and maybe you're a virgin or you just haven't had much experience, like we're not laughing at you, I promise. Like you are going to be a little bit awkward. You're not going to know what to do. You're going to overthink everything. You're literally going to say like, should I ask her if I need to go pee in the bathroom? It's like you
mm,
don't I promise you don't need to ask her. You can just say, "Hey, I'm going. I'll be back in a second. Wait here." Like, but you really don't know. Like you said, you don't have that mental model. You don't have that framework of like, what am I supposed to do? Like a blueprint. You don't know. And so the blueprint that I normally give guys, like I've in my Tinder guide, I sort of tell you what to do on dates and stuff. But the main thing that I get across, and I write this like 15 times in that section, is you're going
mm,
to be bad at it. And that's okay. Like everybody else is bad. Like you were terrible. I was terrible. Like you're supposed to be terrible. You haven't done it before. It's like if I gave you a basketball and said, and you've never played basketball, and I said, go shoot some hoops, you're going to miss. You're going to throw the ball like across the other, like you're going to just miss the backboard. You don't know what you're doing. You've never done it before. And dates are not any different. It's more awkward because there's another person there. And so, like, they see how awkward you are. And like you said, this girl didn't end up meeting you probably because you're a bit awkward and maybe she was a bit awkward, like, who knows? But you really do have to just kind of say, okay, I'm going to be terrible at this, but at least I'm getting experience. And like you said, you get better the more you do it. So, what happened after that in terms of like dating?
mm. Well, after that, it was pretty
Did you go to med
honestly.
school after this? Like,
This was
let's
in
try and
2000 and this was in
you go.
2019, summer of
Okay.
2019. I got into med school in the summer of 2020, so this was
Yeah.
like a year before. And after that, it was about August of 2019.
Hmm.
The amusement parks are only open during the summer, so that job kind of like ended.
Hmm.
And I moved in with my father because he lives like near the capital of Finland, and there's like more jobs open near
What's
the
the
capital.
capital?
And
It's not Helsinki.
Helsinki.
See, I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew something.
your geography is good. But I got a job like almost instantly after moving in with my father, and I just like didn't have like a medium through which to meet girls. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have Tinder. Like I didn't like I
Yep.
worked in a warehouse which is like really male dominated. There are like barely
Yes,
any
I worked in a
girls.
warehouse too for like a year. Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a nice job, but it's kind of like lonely if you want to meet like the
Yeah.
other sex there or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
But I worked there for like a month, and I still hadn't even came up with the idea of applying to med school, but it was just
Mhm.
probably like the fifth job that I like got during that year.
Mhm.
And I just started thinking like I don't want to work like 45 years in this low
Yeah.
wage profession, and I just started thinking about my options. This was in like October of 2019, and I came up with med school, and
Had
I
had
quit my
you
job.
had you had you ever wanted to go to med school before? Like, did that just come out of nowhere? That idea?
Mm, I think I had toyed around with the idea of med school like
Okay.
probably since I was like 5 years old,
Okay.
but I never actually got around to it because everybody knows that it's just like a huge process. It's just like a huge undertaking to actually
Hmm.
try to get in. So I was actually never willing to put in the work,
Yeah.
and I just kind of started to realize that if I want to like make my life better, I actually like really have to invest in this. And I quit my job. I read like full time for over 4 months, just nailed my examinations and got in. That's pretty much the story.
I mean, you're glossing over the story. I think we should expand upon what you just said. Like, because for context, as you said to me in the email, most people fail like and don't get in until they apply like 3 or 4 times to get into med school. Like, it's a very, you know, big process.
Competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, in your country. And I think it's like that a little bit here too, but not quite as much. And so I guess we can talk about had people told you that like you're not going to get in? Did anyone give you those kind of notions of like, nah, you're not going to make it, dude? Like, it's going to be too hard.
Not for me because I kind of kept low profile. I didn't even tell
Okay.
all the people in my family that I'm applying. I just kind of like
Hmm.
kept up this sort of illusion that I'm still working, even though I'm actually preparing for med school. Because like I didn't want to hear those comments, and
Yep.
I think that a lot of people who kind of make their application process kind of like public get a lot of reactions telling
Yep.
them that it's really hard, you're not going to get on your first try in, and I just didn't want that energy, so I just kind of kept it to myself. I told a few friends, and like of course my father, because I was living with him, but I just kind of kept low profile, you know.
Sorry, I'm making notes because I wanted to bring up a point while you were talking there. This very much reminds me of a topic or a podcast that I did called like talk about what you have done, not what you will do. And you're like the epitome of that. Like you went away,
Yeah, I
you took some action.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go.
actually watched like I found the Inner Winner show, the website, and I saw the best of section, and I think that that specific episode that you're referring to was there, and I listened to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It
it's
was a
this
good episode.
concept. Thank you. It's this concept of like, don't just say, hey, I'm going to do something. Go away, do a little bit of it, take some action, start those steps, and then you can say, hey, I've done this. And I didn't talk about it in the episode, so we can talk about it now. Because the problem with sometimes, or I didn't talk about this, what I'm going to say, sometimes when you talk about what you're going to do, people say, no, that won't work. You can't do this. You'll fail. Like it's too hard. Don't do that. That's a stupid idea. Why are you doing that? That's dumb. What a dumb goal. Like people try and talk you out of it. And if you haven't taken any action, it's very easy to convince you not to start something. But if you've already started, you're like, well, it's too late. You can't talk me out of it. I've already started. So I like this idea that you kept your cards kind of close to your chest, is a saying we have in English. Like, and you didn't tell anyone, or you didn't tell like everyone. Went away, studied hard, because you said you studied for like 4 months and you went crazy.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that just like your head's in the book, like nothing else except study, study, study?
I tried to balance like my life so that it wouldn't be
Yeah,
like all about reading books. Like I used to see like, of course, like a lot of friends during that time because you just lose your mind if you're doing nothing else than reading.
yeah,
But
yeah.
pretty much every day, like 7 to 8 hours, and just like intensely. And um, I don't like it. It was actually kind of fun. It's hard to describe why, but like sort of just like being really immersed in something and just sort
Yep.
of
Because
losing
you're
track of
obsessed
stuff.
with it. When you're
Yeah,
that obsessed, it feels like you're doing something like greater than yourself. Like you're doing some big grand idea. It's like an
definitely.
idea that's better, bigger than you. It
Yeah,
becomes
definitely.
like it's amazing. Like that's why I talk about this all the time. It's in my Tinder guide even. At the start of the Tinder guide where I talk about how to get laid on Tinder, the first thing I say is you have to be obsessed. If you really want this to work, you really want an awesome girlfriend, or you want to get laid a lot, whatever your goals are, you have to be obsessed. You have to become obsessed with this stuff. And it sounds like that's what you did here. And that doesn't mean just sit in your books for like 16 hours and don't go outside. I'm not saying that, but like get close enough to that. Be halfway there. Like you're talking about 8 to 10 hours a day. Yeah, that's pretty obsessed. And that worked for you. You talk about like most people don't get into your university or into med school, sorry, until the third or fourth try. You did it on the first try. Like that's what obsession looks like, guys. Like that's why we say be obsessed. Because if you decide, no, I'm assuming you had in your head, I'm going to get in. Like I need to
Yeah,
make this
like
happen.
from the beginning, like I was like,
Yeah.
the thought that I'm going to fail wasn't even like an option. Like I
Yeah.
knew that I'm
It
going to
can't
like
be an option.
it
Yeah.
was like a visceral, like on a visceral level, I knew that I'm going to succeed.
Yeah. And when you have
Yeah,
that feeling, it's like, I won't accept anything less than failure. And fine, if you give it everything you have and you fail, like fine. But like most of the time, that doesn't happen because you're so obsessed about making it work. You do whatever it takes. You study for 8 to 10 hours. Your friends say, hey, do you want to come and play like RuneScape? And you're like, no, I'm going to study. I'll play RuneScape with you guys in 3 months. Like, just give me some time. Like obsession does work. That's how anyone achieves anything great. Like it's not by moderation. It's not by doing 2 hours of study and then like, that'll take you to the third or fourth try. That's probably why most people take to the third or fourth try, because they're not obsessed.
definitely. And I think that it's also like sort of the meant like a lot of people, as I said, get told like by their environment, like you're not going to get in on the first
Yeah.
try. I also think that there's this sort of mental reaction to the negative feedback. And
Yeah.
I think that it's a good idea for that reason to sort of try to avoid people who are going to tell you that. Sort of just like if you're completely obsessed about it, and there are people who are kind of like trying to sort of lessen your obsession, if you understand.
Yeah.
I think that that's like a negative energy that you don't want around you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
We have this expression in English. Tell me if you guys have this expression or similar to it. It's called like take the wind out of your sails. Do you
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I don't think we have like a equivalent in Finnish.
So you just say that when someone's like trying to like lessen your excitement. You say you're taking the wind out of my sails. Like, and so people will do that. Whereas you'll be surprised if you just kind of keep your cards close to your chest and don't necessarily talk too much. You can say little bits and pieces, but you just kind of knuckle down, you focus on like, I'm going to achieve this goal, you make it happen. Then when you go and tell them, hey, I'm like halfway through this goal, or I've almost achieved this goal, or I have achieved this goal, most of the time they're like, holy crap, that's amazing. But if you had told those same people at the start, hey, I'm going to do this goal, they'll be like, nah, don't do that. You won't make it. It's silly. Like, so there is like benefit to like leaving this, like keeping it inside. Tell the people you know will be supportive. And if you think they won't be supportive, don't take that chance. Like just don't tell them. Like it's better to keep it inside until you've taken some steps, and then you can tell them. Sure, most people will be supportive. But
I agree with that. I agree with that.
yeah,
And I also think that some people like start like when you say that you're aiming for university, like it doesn't have to be medical school. When you're aiming for anything which is better than what you have now, people start around you kind of start projecting like, okay, like if this dude is gonna succeed in his goal, he's gonna like be above everyone else here. And like people
yeah,
don't like that when sort of other people succeed and they don't, so they kind of like start to sort of disheartening that person, like don't do that, it's stupid, like because you know what I mean.
yeah. We have a saying in English called crab bucket mentality. I don't know if you guys have that. Because if you put a
No, I
bunch of
don't think so.
crabs, okay, if you put that, we use that all the time to explain exactly what you're saying right now. If you have a bunch of like crabs or lobsters or anything like that, like anything with claws, and you put them all in a bucket, some of them will try and start climbing out. And the
And
other
the
ones,
others will like pull them back.
yes, yes, I don't know
Yeah.
why they do it. They're probably not doing it on purpose. Maybe they are. I don't know. But like they tend to do that. And so people do that as well. If you're trying to
Mhm.
climb higher, other people are like, what? You're going to leave us here alone by ourselves? Like, no, you're not better than us. Because if you're better than me, and the other thing to think about is like if you're better than me and you're climbing to that level, that means I could do the same thing too. But that would be very uncomfortable because I have to like get off my ass. I have to put in the work. I
Exactly,
have to, yeah.
exactly.
And I don't want to do that because like it's easier to just stay here. Most people like to stay where they are. Like complacency and just doing what you've always done is very easy. Of course it is. Like We're
Mhm.
supposed to do that from an evolutionary standpoint, like conserving energy, not wasting energy. You're supposed to kind of get comfortable and then just like survive and have
Mhm.
children and survive. So if other people see you climbing, they're like, "Oh my god, like I should be doing that." They feel guilty. It's easier to just say like, "No, man, don't do that. Like, stop.
Yeah,
Come back here.
exactly.
Don't
Like
go to uni."
if you start getting like if you start doing like things that are wait, if you start taking action, it kind of points out the inadequacies of other people, something like that.
Yes, even if you're not trying to. Like, I lost a bunch of weight. Like, I lost like 77 pounds. This was like 5 years ago or something like that. And when I was losing the weight, like people at my workplace started getting weird about it. Like they started getting very uncomfortable. And like they would be eating cake or something and they would look at me and they'd be like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't be eating this, should I?" And I'd say, "I don't care. Like why do I care? Like why do I care what
Uh,
you eat?" But they're like, "Oh no, like, you're better." Like that's kind of
yeah,
the assumption, like, "Oh, Andy, you're better than me." And it's like, "No, I'm
yeah.
not saying that at all."
That sounds just so funny that people react to that in that manner. It's just so funny to me.
I Yes, but like so many people do it that I don't even find it funny anymore. It's just like it's what happens. If you start, and anyone listening, if you start improving yourself like either of us have, like the further along you get, the more you start to see that a lot of people really don't like you for succeeding. They really don't like you. I remember I use this example all the time because it's hilarious to me. It's the funniest example now. It wasn't funny at the time. It really upset me, but like it's hilarious now. The first time I ever had a foursome, as in I slept with three girls at the same time. These were three girls that I was seeing. They're like, I made that happen. I organized it. I got them all together. We did it. It was amazing. It was like the best. It was like the crazy. It was the craziest. It wasn't the best, but it was the craziest sexual experience I've ever had. And
I can imagine.
it was insane. The whole time I was like, this isn't real. Like, is this me? Am I allowed to play with? And all of them are like, you know, turned on by me. And I'm like, what the hell? This is like pornography or something. Like, this isn't real. Like, they all like me. What the hell at the same time? Like, this is a porn scene and they all like me. And I remember being so excited about it. We even took pictures. I was like, "Am I allowed to take pictures?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Can I show my friends?" And they're like, "Yeah, just like don't show our faces." And I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing." And so like I remember sharing that with people, and I shared it on a subreddit, the Red Pill subreddit. And I remember saying like, "Oh my god, guys, I had a foursome. Like, you don't understand. This is like I never thought I could do something like this." Like, I gave my story as well. I said I started like obese and depressed, and I was a loser. And like, look, I did this. You guys can do it too. And I even wrote like, "Here's how you can do it. You just got to date one girl, and then like, tell her that you want to see other girls." And then like I laid out the steps. I had like 10 steps to do. And I said, if you guys have any questions, like I'll help you. Like, please, I want you guys to do this too. Like, I want to hear from you guys that you've done it too. Cause this was amazing. Trust me. All the girls had fun. I had fun. Bro, like three quarters of the comments were like, why have you done this? You're a loser. Why do you even care about girls? This is shallow. I bet they're all prostitutes and you just paid them. They're not even real. Like, they're ugly. Like, they're shit. Just like everything was so negative. And that was my first experience with like, that was my first real experience of like, if you achieve something great, there will be people that will hate you only because you achieved something great. No other reason. Like, they just hate you because you did something cool.
Yeah, it's built into us. Like you can't avoid that phenomenon. It's just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Did you?
I'm
You go. You
yes.
go. You go.
I was just gonna use that story to segue that I was gonna say that one thing I really like about your website is like the Tinder guides, for example, that they're like really detailed, like really actionable.
Because I'm a
Like there's
nerd.
exactly like they're so specific that like if you follow those steps, like it's difficult to fail if you're serious about it. That's the thing I really like.
That's how I tried to make it. But and then that very quickly shows you who's not serious because they will come and give you excuses or they'll say, "Oh, this doesn't apply to me because I'm short or I'm Asian or I'm African or I'm black or I'm this or that." They'll give you like a million
Mm.
excuses. I'm old. I'm 28. I hear that all the time. Like, I'm 28. I can't do this. And it's like, what do you mean? I'm 34. Like, or I'll be 34 next month. Like, you can
So
do this.
what?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, if it's that hard, then just try harder. Like you talked about, people
Mhm.
would have said the same thing to you. Hey, you can't go to med school. It's impossible. You won't do it. And you're like, well, then I just have to study 5 times harder than everybody else. And then
Mhm.
I win. Like, that's how you win. You just work harder than everybody else.
And the best part about succeeding in a difficult goal is that like after that you have like a concrete proof that you can do it. Like if there's something like that you want to do in the future, you know that you've done something really difficult before, so you can just kind of like use that self-confidence from the previous experience to sort of catalyze yourself into
Yeah.
action.
I love you
Mm.
for saying that. Yes, that is the main thing that I get across to people. Like, if it, whatever goal it is you're working on, if it's like, I'm trying to get laid, the reason I say go really hard with it, be obsessed, make it happen, is because then when you do, you would have achieved an impossible goal. And then the next time you have another impossible goal, like maybe it's, I'm going to start my own YouTube channel and pay all the bills from YouTube so I don't have to work a job. That seems impossible when you have no YouTube channel, no idea what content you're going to do, no audience, no followers, no money, no income, no idea even how to make money from YouTube. I'll tell you right now, trust me, there's a million ways to make money from YouTube, but you don't know that at the start. And you just remind yourself when you're right at the start of that goal, you say like, yeah, but like that other goal I just did was impossible. And I just figured out how to do that. I took a bunch of steps. I did research. I read like Andy's Tinder guide. I went and figured out how to do it. And then I did it. And it was hard. It took time. It took like 2 years or it took 3 years. So maybe with this YouTube goal, that'll take me 2 or 3 years. So I just have to do what I did and wait 2 years. And I was patient then. I can be patient this time. It's like you have proof that you can do it. And when you're having those moments of doubt, because I tell you, I have a million moments of doubt. I certainly did with my coaching and getting to a point where I could pay all the bills. I had a million doubts. I didn't ever think I could earn $1 from my coaching. I literally didn't think that was possible, let alone getting to a point where I can pay the bills. I was like, no way. Like, I'm going to have to work in this shitty warehouse. You talked about your warehouse. I thought I'd have to work in a warehouse for the rest of my life. And I had to remind myself, no, I did all these other goals. I lost all this weight. I fixed my depression. I hit the gym. I got laid a lot. I had threesomes. I had foursomes. I found a girlfriend who adores me and loves me, and it's a good, healthy relationship. I did all that stuff that was supposed to be impossible. So, yes, this goal seems impossible. And yes, my brain is telling me, no, but this one is impossible. This one's even harder than those. But I just have to like trust. It's almost like faith. You have to just like trust and go like, no, I have to have faith that this will work. And it does. It always does, because you just do what you did before. You just do the same steps, but like for this goal. And you have to change some things, but like you're really just doing the same thing. And I'm
I
assuming
agree,
that's how
and
your life has been. Like the same
yeah,
goals, you just change some things.
yeah, sure. Like, of course, depending on the goal, it's probably a bit different, like what you have to do.
Yeah.
But I think that generally, like when you have like mm, a certain amount of succeeds in your life, you just kind of start thinking that well, not thinking that everything is possible, but everything just becomes a lot easier because the hardest part
It's
in everything is always starting a new project. And
yeah.
I think I actually forgot what I was going to say, so
Well, I'll,
continue.
I'll jump in because I was going to interrupt you, and then I realized that would be rude. But like, I interrupt people all the time. I get very excited when I do podcasts. I do, but like, it's more that it's not just that you like realize anything is possible. It's more like you realize they're not impossible. I know that doesn't, that's not a good way of phrasing it. It's more like that, like,
I know
okay,
what you
I
mean.
could,
I know what you mean.
yeah, you know what I mean. Because it's like, it's a feeling. I'm not even talking about something logical anymore. It feels like normally when you haven't done any goals, they feel impossible. Like it's like a feeling. It's this like tightness in your chest, this like, no, I can't do it. Like your shoulders go down. You're like, I can't do this. Once you've achieved one or two big goals, then you think of the next goal. And then it's more like, yeah, I can do this. There's like no tension. There's no negative feeling. You're just like, yeah, I could do this. Yeah. Like there's nothing holding you back. And then now it's like, do I want to do this? Am I willing to put in? The question isn't, is this possible? It's like, am I willing to put in the work to make this happen? Can I be patient enough to wait like 2 or 3 years to do this? Am I okay with making 100 mistakes that I know I will make and looking like an idiot? Am I okay with doing that? And that's a much easier question to answer because the answer will usually be yes. I'm okay with waiting 3 years. What the hell? Are you telling me in like, if I'm 30 now, are you telling me by the time I'm 33, I get to be rich? Yes, I can be patient with that. Yeah, are you kidding me? I'll slave for 3 years if I get to be rich at 33. Fuck yeah. Or if you're a guy who's like 28 or whatever, and you've barely ever had sex or something. If I say to you, by the time you're 31, I guarantee you, you'll be having threesomes. You'll do whatever you want. Like if you just go hard for 3 years, you can have whatever sex life you want. If you tell that to most people, if they could know that that was true, and the only way you know that's true is if you've done a previous goal. But if they could just know that's true, every single person would be like, yeah, sure, I can wait 3 years. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just like completely ridiculous how much you can achieve in like 2 or 3 years if you orient yourself
Yes.
properly. Like I'm gonna use again like med school as an example. Like I hadn't even thought about it like 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
now I'm almost through my first year, and it's just been great. And uh, like if you really start putting yourself together, like really do it seriously, I think that it's not like there isn't an upper limit to it how much you can improve.
Agree. Because I always tell people like sometimes people will come to me for coaching or whatever, just on my forums, and they'll say like, I have all these problems that I need to fix. I'm overweight. I'm a virgin. I have no friends. I don't have any job. I live with my parents. They'll give me like 10 problems that they have, and they'll say it's hopeless. I can't do all that. And I'll say like, you're 20, you're 30, you're 25, whatever age they are. Like you're 30. You have until you're 80. Are you telling me in 50 years? It's like, and then I will break it down for them. I'll say, okay, the weight loss, you can do that in 1 year. You can lose 100 pounds in a year. That's not even that hard. I promise you can do it. Like, there you go. That's 1 year for the weight loss. The making friends, you can do that while you're doing that at the same time. So you're still on 1 year. Within 1 year, you'll have a lot of friends and you'll have lost weight. The girls thing, that'll probably take you 2 years. So now we're talking 3 years in total. Making money, 3 years. So now we're talking 6 years in total. Whatever you want to do, let's say in 6 years, you are now. So maybe we add in some gym stuff as well. Maybe you take 2 more years on top of that to get elite in the gym. So now you're talking like 6 to 8 years roughly. And some of those goals, yes, you can do them at the same time as each other, but I'm being really conservative here. In 6 to 8 years, you could be lean and absolutely muscular as hell with abs, any sex life you want with any girls you want to have sex with, or date long term, or be in a marriage, whatever you want, as many friends as you want that are all loyal to you and think you're awesome, as much money as you want so you don't even think about money anymore, and a life that anyone else would envy and kill for. Are you telling me that like you wouldn't be happy if you had all that but you had to wait 6 years for it? Like 6 years is nothing to like fix every single part of your life. And
I
like you
think that
said, it's insane.
people aren't like used to thinking in such long term. Like I think
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
people like think maybe weeks, or if they're special, maybe like months ahead. But like most people aren't accustomed to thinking about goals in terms of years.
Yeah. And that's one thing I think the fitness industry, like especially like weightlifting and powerlifting, I think they do a pretty good job of giving you a realistic timeline. Like, and when I first started going to my strength coach to learn how to like powerlift, he's like, "Yeah, it'll probably take you 3 years." And I was like, "What, 3 years?" He's like, "Yeah, like 3 years until you're like pretty strong." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can wait 3 years." I said to him, like, "I've never lifted. I'm weak as hell. Are you telling me I could deadlift like 150 kilos?" And he's like, "Yeah, you could do that in like a year and a half." And I was like, "Okay. If you're telling me I can lift some weight that's like insane, like to me, I couldn't even imagine 150 kilos. That seemed impossible. I was like, that's a car. Like cars weigh like 1,000 kilos, but I didn't know. I was like, I can't lift that much weight. That's like more than a person. How could I lift that? And like, you only have to wait a year and a half. And then I did that. I think I did it a little quicker than that. But like, it's insane the goals that you could get to. Money is a good one. If you're willing to wait 2 years, you could earn 5,000 US dollars a month, every month from like passive income or from your own like income, whether that's YouTube, like your own job, whatever it is. You could do it way quicker. I did it really slowly, but it took me about 2 years. And so it blows, it never ceases to blow my mind that people do what you're saying, where they're like, oh, but like that'll take a lot of time. That's like effort. Like 2 years. Why can't I do it now? Like that seems like too hard. And it's like, we're talking about changing your entire life, and the rest of your life, you get to enjoy that. If you're rich, you get to enjoy that until you die. If you look good, everyone will tell you you're attractive until you die. Like you get to enjoy that. You only have to put in a little bit of hard work, and then the rest of your life is like whatever you want to do. Like that's
Exactly.
amazing to
Like
me.
if you think about it, it's just like a really easy thing to understand through math. Like if it takes you like 3 years
Yeah.
to like get your
Yeah.
life together, and you're like 25, you're gonna have like 50 years to enjoy that. So it's just there's just really no reason to not get your
Yeah.
life. together.
It's like 5% of your life. Spend like 5% of the time you have from now till the day you die. 5% of that you have to struggle.
Exactly, and the rest,
Is that not worth it?
90 or 99, 95% will be absolutely worth it.
And more importantly, and I'm sure you'd say the same thing, we're not even phrasing it like the right way. It's not like you hate those 5 years. Those 5 years are the most magical years of your entire life. Like when you're making these changes. Yeah, man. Like, do you want to talk about that? Like, what was it like for you? Like hitting the gym, like starting to work on this shit, getting into med school, studying for med school, and then making it. Like, how good does that feel?
Absolutely amazing. Like, it's just so great when you can like just look at yourself through time, like who I was like 3 years ago, and just like see that if I went back 3 years in time and I told myself like what I achieved in 3 years, I would never the 19-year-old Andrew would never believe it. Like, it's just like when you can like again, I'm having trouble with phrasing. You can jump in if you have something to say. I'm trying to think.
I have nothing, sir. I have nothing to say. I never have anything to say.
It feels especially good, like when you sort of are able to look yourself in the past. Fuck. Anyway, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Like, I tell you what does feel good, bro. If you're talking about looking yourself in the damn mirror, like when you look in the mirror and like those first few goals that you achieve, and you look in the mirror and you go like, oh my God, that was me. Like I did that. Me. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah, like I used to think like lifting 150 kilograms in deadlift would like take a huge amount of time, but
I used to think it would like break my back. I thought like my back would explode or something.
Yeah, pretty much. And then just like a year or 6 months later after starting gym, you can do it, and you're like, yeah, damn, that was easy.
Yeah,
and you just start racking up these accomplishments, and you kind of hit that positive feedback loop, and everything just becomes so much easier. And it's just completely amazing to realize that you've done all that. Like it's your doing, like it's your success, and it's because you did it, like not anyone else.
Yeah, I say this all the time. Like we all support each other, you know, we all push each other, but at the end of the day, you're the one that has to do it. So like you get full credit. Yes, other people helped you. 1 million people helped me. I give them credit, but like you're the one that has to fight that battle at the end of the day. You're fighting your own mind. You're fighting the doubts and the insecurities. You're like on the front lines in the war. Like you have to be doing that work. Other people can't really do that for you. So
absolutely.
Do you want to segue to losing your virginity? Because you got into med school.
I haven't lost it yet.
Okay. Well, like, where are you at now?
I was dating this girl from my she's in the same medical program, and she's also a virgin. She's also like really Christian conservative.
Oh, this is the girl that you mentioned in the email. Yeah.
Yeah, the same girl. So the same girl. Yeah. And at the I don't know how much you know about the pandemic situation in Finland, but it's pretty bad here. Like all sort of everything is just closed. Like all libraries, all restaurants, all nightclubs, all movie theaters are just closed, and they're planning on moving restrictions. So it's really difficult to do anything at the time. You can't even see people. And the girl.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. That sucks.
Yeah,
it really sucks.
It sucks. It sucks. But the girl that I've been seeing, like she's staying with her family. So she's in another city, has been for almost a month. We've been messaging a lot, but like I haven't been able to see her. So
because where did you meet this girl?
As I said, we're in the same medical program. Like she's studying medicine as well, and we had this sort of I forget the word. Like, what do you call when sorry, I have to Google. Absolutely must remember that word.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious that you're Googling something. I just finished another podcast episode with someone else, right? Like literally before this one. And a big part of what we talked about for quite a bit was people who say like, "Oh, I don't know the answer to that," or "I don't know how to do this," and I said like, just Google it. Like Google gives you the answer to everything, literally everything. So I love that you're like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to Google it because it sounds weird, dude. But like, so many people just don't Google something. They'll come to you and say like, "Hey, my sleep is really bad," and I'll be like, "Did
Mhm.
you try and Google how to get better sleep?" And they're like, "Oh, thanks. I didn't think of that. I'm going to go do that." And it's like, just do that. That's your first choice. Like Google something. Your first step is like Google it and see what the answer is.
Yeah, the word I was looking for is illanisto. It's like Google translates it
I
to
don't know what that
evening
means.
part. Google says that it's like evening party. It doesn't really like sound right, but like I mean like these sort of gatherings at people's like homes, like
Are they drinking? Like you get drunk?
not necessarily sometimes, but
Okay.
like it's like this casual hanging out like at someone's place, like
Yeah,
watching a
we'd
movie
just
or
call that
something.
like a we'd call that like a hangout. Maybe like a gathering.
Like a
Yeah,
hangout
like
pretty much. Like
yeah.
in like last January, like when people came back from their like uh, Christmas breaks, there were like
Hmm.
people were arranging a lot of these hangouts, and we
Hmm.
just happened to sort of be in a few of those at the same time, and we just kind of started talking, and I just noticed that this girl seems to like me, and we just kind of hit it off pretty quickly.
Nice. I do want to take a step back. You thought, and so many people do this, dude. You thought like getting into med school would mean that girls would like jump all over you, right? You're like, man,
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
get into med school, like girls are just gonna sit on my lap and kiss me and like, and that wasn't the
Yeah,
case.
no, that wasn't the case. Like I hate to admit it to an extent, but it's true that like one of my motivations to get into med school like was the fact that I thought that it would sort of get me attention from girls, but I don't think that that's true anymore.
It what it will get you is like some respect from some women. Not every like some girls won't care, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
girls will be like, "That's really cool." Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to like make the move. And so I talk about this all the time. Like guys will go to the gym and get massive and they'll be lean and they'll have like, huge freaking biceps and, tiny little chicken legs, but they'll be big, right? They'll be like big dudes. And they'll say like, but girls aren't paying me attention. Like, how come Andy gets laid? And it's like, because Andy walks up to them and says, "Hey, you're attractive. Can I get your number? Let's go for a drink." Like, we as men have to make that move.
Mm-hmm.
If you're waiting for
Absolutely.
girls to make a move on you, you probably get one girl a year, one girl every 6 months if you're lucky. If you're really attractive, and
Mm-hmm.
unless you get to a level of like, you're a movie star or something, that's a little different, sure. But none of us are really movie stars at this point in time. I see too many guys that think if I just do this, then it's almost like you're avoiding the hard work. If
Mm-hmm.
I do this, I don't have to hit on girls. And it's like, I'm sorry, man, but you have to hit on girls. Like you have to ask them out. You have to. And so is that
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
like
I,
you
I
had that realization, I'm assuming.
yeah, I had that realization that like I've been sort of pursuing sort of attention from girls through
Hmm.
sort of secondary goals like
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
going to the gym and exercising and
Doing
having a nice
dancing.
stuff like
Guys go
that.
guys go dancing, yeah, to meet women, but then they don't actually talk to any. Yeah, I see that sometimes.
Exactly, and like getting into med school, like I think my primary motivation was again, as I mentioned earlier, responsibility for my life, but the second was
I
probably
like
like
that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess like it doesn't hurt being in medical school. Like, of course, it's always like a bonus. Like, it's a
Hmm.
respective field and stuff like that. But it isn't the real thing, really. Like the yeah, continue.
That's what I'm kind of getting at. Like it definitely helps. It will definitely help girls like stick around. Like it's one more bonus point for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just like
exactly,
being
exactly. Like
attractive.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I kind of recently started realizing that you talk a lot about appearance and how it
Hmm.
affects your attractiveness. Like I think that for a long time I spent time improving myself, kind of like
Hmm.
on a mental level and also improving the quality of my life. But I
Hmm.
never like really actively spent time trying to like getting physically more attractive. Well, of course, going to the gym, but like other than that, I never kind of
Yeah.
like paid attention to that. I was always so focused on getting better in terms of the setting of my life
Hmm.
that I didn't like understand that it's like your appearance is the first thing that people see about you.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the primary thing that you should focus on.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if you understand what I'm saying.
There's this idea that, like, you know, women like personality and women like money and women like, you know, the real you and all this stuff. And like, of course they do, but they're never going to get a chance to get to know that stuff if you look like crap. Like
Exactly.
you don't even get to talk to them. They'll just look at you and go like, well, he doesn't even care about his appearance. I can't take him seriously. That's his resume that he's like showing off to the world. The first thing I see when I see him is someone who doesn't brush his hair, whose teeth are all yellow, who dresses like crap. You know, his clothes are kind of ripped and old, and like he has no style. His hair is horrible. He doesn't like, you know, he doesn't wear cologne. He doesn't smell good. Like, why would I take that guy seriously? He doesn't take himself seriously. Like, I'm not even going to talk to him.
If you have all these things that you mentioned, like having like a, I don't know, good life, but you're looking like shit, like it doesn't really matter, because those people who you're attracted to never get to sort of see the other side of your life.
Yep. Yeah. And to be clear, like personality and all those other things are really important. Of course they are. And they definitely help. Of course they do. But you have to look good. You don't have to look amazing. We're not saying I don't look amazing. You just have to look like decent. You have to look like you try. You just have to look like you care a little bit. You put some effort in. You put 10 minutes worth of effort in before you leave the house every day. That's it. Look like that. You know, make sure you're not fat and overweight. Lose a bit of weight if you are. That's easy enough to do. Just go nice and slow, lose a little bit each week. But once you do those things, you'll see that the rest of the world treats you a lot better. And I'm assuming that happened with you, because you have abs now, right? And like gaining muscle, losing fat, taking your appearance more seriously. Like, how did that affect how other people, not just women, but women as well, like, did other people treat you any differently?
Yeah, I got, like, when I started dressing better and going to the gym, like, people started, like, mostly my friends started like giving me compliments, which had like never happened before.
Yeah,
and that was kind of like weird. Like, I didn't like know how to respond to that. Like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
So like,
no, dude. Yeah, I the first couple of compliments that I ever got from girls, I didn't know what to do. I was so confused. I was like, why are you being nice to me? Like, why are you saying that I'm cute? At first, they would say you look cute. And then they started saying you're attractive. And then they started saying you're handsome. And then at some point, some of them started saying you're hot. And then I finally, the last step was like, some of them said you're sexy. And I was like, I'm sexy? What do you mean? And they were like, you're really sexy. And I was like, huh? Like, which bit of me is sexy? Especially when I got down to abs. I've got a bit of fat now. I'm losing it. Don't stress. But like when I first got my abs, and you're in the bedroom, you're having sex with a girl, and she's got her hand on your chest, on your pecs, and she's like touching, and she's like staring at your abs. She's like staring, and she's like moaning, and and she can't take her eyes off your body. The first couple of times you have that happen, you're like, oh my God, is this real? Like, is this a movie or something? This isn't supposed to be me. Girls aren't supposed, I'm supposed to be ashamed of my body. I'm supposed to have the lights off, keep my clothes on, and not show off my body. Like, I was always someone, I don't know about you, but I was always someone that if I went to the beach, I felt really ashamed because I looked like shit for most of my life. And like, the first time you get those compliments, man, holy crap, dude. Like, if people listening take one thing away from this podcast, I hope it's like, work on your appearance, because like the rest of the world will treat you so much nicer.
It's absolutely
it's shallow,
true.
But they do.
It's true. And also, like, I don't think that all compliments are like verbal. Like, when like this girl that I mentioned, like the first time that I was like, we were having kind of this, I don't know what you call it, like kind of like dry humping or something.
Yeah, dry humping. Yeah,
pretty much. Like, we didn't have like any shirts on, like I saw her tits and stuff like that, but it kind of like felt like I didn't deserve this, like, you know, imposter syndrome. Like it felt kind of like getting into that place, like, felt like I've made like huge progress, and it felt like I don't deserve this. Like, what have I done?
It's like doesn't she know that I'm a loser?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, I still kind of like don't know how to like process it, that like this has been happening like during the maybe like last 2 months. Like, I've been getting more into the sort of realm of dating, and it's just so new. Like, you don't know how to react to it, and you like feel like a complete imposter. Like
yeah, man. Yeah, that stuff is so motivating.
What were you going to say?
Not much more than what you just said. You said it perfectly. Everything you said is perfect. Like, Yeah,
Mm,
like it's so motivating, and there is that weird sense of like imposter syndrome of like, and that
mm,
takes your self esteem some time to come to catch up.
mm,
So just wait. That's my answer to you. Just wait.
mm,
In like 6 months, you'll be like, yeah, I'm sexy. Like I look good.
mm,
Like I look really good, and then you just kind of accept it. You're like, yeah, I look pretty good.
mm.
Yeah, I know I look
Yeah.
good. Like enough girls have told me, I worked hard to get here. Yeah, I used to look bad before. You don't have that imposter syndrome anymore, and that's when this stuff becomes really fun. Because then,
Mm,
when someone gives you a compliment, you don't have that weird reaction. You can just be
mm,
like, thanks, that's really nice of you. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate that.
mm,
You can just like genuinely say that's really nice of you, rather than right now where you're like,
mm,
thanks, I guess. Like, I'm not sexy. What are you talking about? I'm not sexy. I'm ugly.
mm.
Like, yeah, it's just like a weird getting a compliment when you've never had them before. It's kind of like you're looking around and you're like, are you talking to me? It's like there's only one person in the bedroom. Like, I think you're talking to me, but are you seeing what I'm seeing? I'm not attractive, am I? And like you go away afterwards and you look in the mirror and you're kind of like flexing and stuff, and you're like, am I attractive? Like, am I good enough yet? Like you like really checking, like, is this sexy? Does this count as sexy? You take photos. Yeah, I did this. I took photos and I sent like not naked, but like of my abs and stuff, and sent them to people. And I was like, "Am I attractive?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, dude, you're attractive." And I was like, "Huh,
That's
okay,
weird.
yeah." When did that happen? Like,
Mm,
what point did I
pro-
cross over that line?
probably some like when I had gone to the gym like for like 6 months, and I started like getting like paying more attention to what I wear. Like that was kind of the moment when people actually started sort of paying attention, and it was like
Yeah,
really weird at first. Like, mm,
and it like
I,
it really isn't that much time. Like 6 months,
mm,
dude. Like, listen to what we're saying. Again, some people might hear that and go like, 6 months? Are you serious? I have to go to the gym for 6 months? It's like, stop and listen to what we just said. People will give you compliments. You will feel like, is this even me? Are you talking to me? Like your entire self-esteem goes up like 5 levels. Like, and
and
you
like
only have
six
to put in
months,
6 months.
6 months or even a year, like it's nothing. It's just
Yeah,
it just
no.
flies by. Like when you
Yes.
like when exactly like when like the 1 year has passed, you just like think, was that like 1 year? It was just so fast.
Yeah. 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 And like, what else are you going to do with your time anyway? Like that year, I like to think of it
Exactly.
like this: that year is going to pass anyway, no matter what you do. Time moves inevitably forward, it marches on. No matter what you do, you can't stop time. So, like, that year is going to pass. You may as well like make that time work for you and be doing
Mhm.
something productive with it. So, at the end of it, you're like, man, I'm glad that year went by. Look what I did, rather than like, man, another year, like, fuck, I'm getting older. I'm going to die one day. Like, another year of wasting my potential. I'm wasting time. Girls don't love me, like, all that kind of stuff. Just make that time work for you. Go to the gym, work on your
Exactly. Like
appearance.
there's like no real reason to not do it. Like of course, like some people have like horrible circumstances, like maybe you're, I don't know, terminal ill or something. But if you're like a normal person and you have like a normal life, there's really no reason to not try to improve yourself, I think.
Yeah.
Because as you
And I
said,
get,
the time is going to pass
yeah.
anyway, so you might as well do it.
Yeah. And I get that some people will be nervous and scared. Like I was terrified. You were obviously nervous to go to the gym, sure. But like there's ways around that. Get a friend to go with you. Just go by yourself. Go when there's nobody else in the gym. Like pick a time. For me, I like to go to my gym is nice and quiet at around 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody who wants to go before work has already gone and left.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people who want to go during the day don't come at 8 a.m. They come at like 11 a.m. or something, midday, something like that. So 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. seems to work pretty well for me. I don't like a lot of people in my gym. I like to kind of just be there by myself. And I think I built that into a habit because I was so terrified of being around other people. So I did some research. Like I Googled which times are best for going to the gym when there's no people. And everyone said like, oh, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I went then. So you can do that. Get a personal trainer and like tell them, I've never been to a gym. I'm really terrified. Can you please hold my hand? Like, can I just like stand next to you the entire time? And even if I need to go get a drink of water or something, you have to come with me because I'm really scared. Like, and every personal trainer will be like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, of course. Like they get that a lot of people who sign up are terrified. And so trust me when I say they'll understand and they'll care and they'll look after you. But there are a million ways you can go to the gym and work on your appearance, even if you're scared. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't let that be an excuse. And definitely don't use the excuse of like, it's too late for me. I'm too old. It's like, come on, that's a dumb excuse. You know, that's a dumb excuse. I don't have the money. It's like, what? So you have the money to buy alcohol and food and other stupid stuff that you buy every week. Just stop spending as much money on that stuff. Save a little bit of money. Like there are no excuses to like improving yourself, especially not
Exactly.
your health.
Exactly. I was gonna add something to that, but I think I forgot what I was going to say.
It would have been
You said it,
amazing. It was the best
you
thing
said
you
it pretty
ever
well.
thought. Yeah. Do you want to
Mhm.
segue? Do you want to segue a little bit into, because in your email you wrote like towards the end, you said like, here's a list of things that I'm working on now. Do you
Yeah.
want to like super briefly talk about them? We won't spend like a bunch of time talking about them, but like I wrote a couple of dot points and I want to just like, I think you already know all the answers I'm going to give, but like
Mhm.
whatever. So like the first thing you said was, I don't know much about interacting with girls. And I think you already know the answer to that is go talk to more girls.
Mhm.
And you're going to suck at it
So,
at the start, which you already know.
like, one thing that I've been kind of thinking about has been like using Tinder. I haven't used it very much, and
Hmm.
from what I understand, it's like it's a really good place to meet people and women. Like if you're just willing to spend the time
Hmm.
make your profile as good as you can.
Hmm.
Like that's one thing, definitely like one actionable thing I can do.
Yep.
And at the current time, like it's difficult to actually meet people in other ways. Like Tinder is pretty much the only way to do it at the moment because, like as I said, everything is closed. Like
Hmm.
all nightclubs and everything is just closed.
You
But
know, the answer to this question is because I've had other people say the same stuff. Like, there's lockdowns, it's really bad, and the point that I make is there's always something you can do, even if that's like I'll
mm,
go really hard in the gym, or I will work on my Tinder photos. I'll buy a camera and figure out how to use it, or if there's nothing, like sometimes, like maybe in your case, but some people say like, dude, like trust me, there's nothing I can do for the next few months. Like everything is closed. Okay, then you need to spend the next few months, get a big piece of paper and brainstorm, write down, like plan everything I'm going to do when the lockdowns end. Week by week, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this.
mm,
I'm going to spend 1 week taking photos. I'm going to sign up for Andy's forums and talk to the guys on there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to like write it all down. Like there's always something you
mm.
can do, even if that thing is just planning what you're going to do
Yeah,
later.
it's a good idea to have a list of things you want to accomplish. Like even if there's a lot of
Yeah.
points, like you can always just find something to work on. I think that that's a good place to start. Like make
Yeah,
yourself
man.
a list and just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing
And
you mentioned. Yeah, you go. You go.
like there was this idea by again Jordan Peterson that the definition of having a goal is so that you reorient yourself in every possible way in order to maximize the chance that that goal will become true.
Yes.
And like one specific thing like I've thought about, like I have like pretty shit lower teeth. Like my teeth are healthy but they're like
Hmm.
ugly, like they're yellow, and like the lower case is it's pretty fucked up. So I recently like quit coffee, I quit all soft drinks, I quit all like you know. And now in I think 2 months I'm going to go to like a dentist, and I'm
Yep.
trying to like get my teeth fixed. And that's like
Cool.
one thing
Yep.
that I'm gonna do. It's probably gonna take like 2 years, but like that's like one concrete example of like what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. Again, it's like 2 years now, but then you get the rest of your life to enjoy that for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the reason why I quit coffee and like soft drinks and stuff like that is it completely like it links to the thing I just said about Jordan Peterson, because like if you drink coffee, of course it's gonna make your teeth like yellow. So I
Mhm.
quit that because I want to get my teeth like white. So
Mhm.
that's just like one example of yeah,
It's like you're deciding, you're setting priorities. You're saying
yeah.
my
Like
priority now has to be my teeth.
having good teeth is more important to me than
Yes.
drinking like coffee or drinking soft drinks. That's
Yes.
pretty much the idea.
Yeah, I did the same thing with like fixing my sleep. I've always had terrible sleep, and about like maybe 5 months, maybe 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, I said, okay, this has to be a priority now. And I cut out all coffee, I cut out all alcohol. Um, I don't eat a lot of food in the evening because that screws with me. I don't stay up with my friends. Like I just call it early night and I say like, hey, it's 8 or 9 p.m. I'm going home now. Like, I make that my priority. It's like you said before, you're orienting yourself so that you're putting yourself in the best possible position to reach your goal. You're making it easy. Too many people make their goals hard, and it's like, why are you
Mm.
playing on hard mode? Or if you know what anything about video games, why are you playing on nightmare mode? Like just play easy. Make this easy. Put the difficulty setting to easy. Orientate your life so that everything you're doing is like as easy as it possibly can be. Why are you trying to make this harder on yourself? Like you
Yeah,
won't get to
exactly.
your goals if you make it hard.
Like some people like have goals, but they also have like sort of there are these
Like bad
um
habits.
yeah, bad habits, like counteractive things that
Yeah.
they are doing on an active basis that sort of coexist with the goal that's
Yeah.
inhibiting
Yeah.
their success.
Bro.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's also about like getting rid of those bad things at the same
Yeah.
time.
There's this like video course that I took on like how to build your website up, how to do coaching, how to stuff like that, right? And in there, the first part of the entire course that he talks about, and he has like he makes you listen to this stuff for like 30 minutes. He drills it into you for 30 minutes. He says the only way you're going to succeed is if you stop doing stupid shit. Stop doing dumb stuff. Stop going onto, Facebook for 5 hours a day. Stop watching Netflix. Stop jerking off to porn. Stop drinking alcohol every night and then the next morning you're tired as hell because you didn't go to sleep. Stop eating junk food all day so you feel like no energy. Like
I
stop
love that. So
avoiding
it's
the
like
gym. Yeah,
stop
stop
doing
doing dumb
stupid.
shit. Yeah,
Stop doing dumb shit. It's just so
that's it.
concise. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just stop.
that's the secret.
Stop the dumb shit, and then like your life is 10. And I really I did a huge amount of like changing my life when I read that. I read that like I don't know, like 8 months ago, and that really did change my life. That was when I
Mhm,
started taking my sleep seriously. I stopped drinking alcohol. I cut out the junk food.
mhm,
I started going to the gym properly. I just changed my life. I started getting an early night's sleep every night. I started waking up. I stopped looking at my freaking phone when I first woke up in the morning. I was like, no, I don't get to look at my phone because I just waste an hour on my phone doing nothing. I stopped doing that dumb shit. And it's like, yeah,
mhm.
your life is like 10 times easier. Now I don't have to fight with like, oh, I'm hungover. Like, why are you making it harder for yourself? I don't have to fight with like, oh,
Mm,
I'm so tired. I have to do like 5 podcasts today. I'm so
mm.
tired. It's like, just make it easy. Get good night's sleep. And then you want to do those podcasts. You want to go to the gym.
Exactly. I just love it. Like, how old were you? Like 30?
Me,
How old
33.
were you? 33. Yeah, I'm 22 at the moment, and I just started thinking like, if I sort of orient myself properly and do stuff like stop doing dumb shit, like how am I gonna like look when I'm 30 or 33? Like, I can just see myself like as a huge success. Like, I can
Yes.
imagine myself having a huge career and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I just find it really like interesting that you were able to like sort of get your life together in like 3 years, like while you were around 30. Like, I think most people sort of think that it's too late at that point.
Why do
Yeah.
you think I got my life together so quick?
Mm, you were scared that you're going to be a loser in like when you're 40 or 50 or something.
I was scared I was going to be a loser when I was 30. I was having like a midlife crisis. I was like, oh my God, I'm
Mm,
going to be 30 soon. That's old. Like, I'm an old man, which by the way, you'll find out when you hit 30. You're like, that's not old. Why the fuck did I think
mm,
30 was old? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I could run rings around any 18-year-old right now. Like, more energy, more motivation, more confidence. Like, I look better. I get laid more. Like, trust me, by the time you hit 30, you're like, I'm a badass. Especially you.
that's
You have like
that's
8 years.
that's so strange to hear because like 30 just seems so old to me.
Bro, it does. Trust me. When I was like 20, I was like, when I'm 30, I'll be in a retirement home. I'll be like, my knees won't work. I'll like, no one will respect me. I'll look like shit. It's like, trust me, when you get to 30, everything feels the same. It's really hard to explain. It's like, you're not a different person. You're the same person. Like, some things are
Mhm.
different, sure, but like, it's still you. Right now, if you think of you as a 30-year-old man, you're like, well, that's a different person. By the time you get there, trust me, you'll be like, no, shit, this is still me. Andy was right. This is still me. I'm still the same person. I'm like, you don't lose your sense of humor. You don't lose your youth. You don't lose your energy. You don't lose like your excitement about life. Like, having sex with girls is still as exciting as it was before. Reaching your goals is. Running around is like still as much fun. Sports are as much fun. Like, everything stays the same as long as you don't become like obese and lazy, and that's different. But like, as long as you're reasonably healthy, everything in your life feels exactly the same, but better. because like you've been working on it for like so many years, especially you right now. Like you would have been working on your self-improvement for 10 years by the time you hit 30. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
no idea. Bro, I've only been working on my self-improvement for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine
And
what
you've
you
been
can
like
do in 10 years.
exactly like it's probably
That's
like
insane.
you can't even imagine the
You
place that
can't.
you're going to be in.
People sometimes say to me, "What are you going to do in 5 years?" And I'm like, "Bro, I can't tell you what I'm going to do at the end of the year."
Mm-hmm.
I literally, one of my goals right now for this year, for 2021, I had to think about what year we're in. For the end of this year, one of my goals was I want to have 2 months in a row where I earn 5,000 US dollars from my coaching. I thought if I can do that by the end of the year, that's amazing. Like that's good money. That's more than enough to pay the bills, like the entire bills by myself. Like, this whole apartment, like that's amazing. Like I'll have savings and stuff. Like I thought that would take me to the end of the year, right? I hit that for the second month 3 days ago. It's only the
Wow,
fucking fourth month.
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. But like, you know what I mean? So like, I can't tell you what I'm gonna do in 2 months from now. I don't know. Maybe I hit $10,000 a month. Maybe I fucking, who knows? Maybe I set up some. I've talked about this. I set up some sort of like university, like University of Andy or something, and it's going to be like a free university for anyone to like how to get laid, how to improve yourself, how to beat depression, how to go to the gym. Like I want to build that at some point. I don't know when I could do that. Right now, in my head, I'm like, that'll probably take me 10 years. I bet you in 2 years or something, that's all done. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't even guess. Once you really start getting success, you can't even guess anymore. You can't predict. Every time you write a list of like, here's what I want to accomplish this month. You look at it and you're like, that's impossible. I can't do that. And then you do it by the third week. And no matter how many times you keep doing that, you keep giving yourself even bigger lists for the next month or the next year. You keep pushing yourself further and further. And each time you're like, this is impossible. No way in hell I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do it in half the time, or like me, a quarter of the time. Like I've stopped even trying to predict. I can't predict where I'll be in 6 months. And that's when this
Mm-hmm.
stuff is exciting, because it's almost like the goals are coming for free. Everything I achieve right now,
I
it's
love
like
that.
I'm not doing anything. I am working really hard. I have a million times where I'm like stressed, I can't sleep, I sometimes break
Mm-hmm.
down and cry, but like that doesn't even, I don't even think about that stuff anymore. It's like the goal
Mm-hmm.
just happens. If I just wait 4 months, I'm going to achieve some crazy goal. And
I
then
love
you're
that
like, yeah,
description because
for
that's
free.
I've noticed the same thing that like I don't really actually even sort of like plan on my goals anymore. Like
Yeah,
at this point, it's just kind of like I just have an idea. I want to do this, and then I just do it, something like
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
one thing I actually wanted to ask you was about your content creation.
Mhm.
Uh, at, at which point, like when you started sort of on the path of self improvement, at what point started you to like get into content creation?
As in, like, when did I do it or why did I do it?
When exactly? And maybe even why. Like, of course, you can answer that as well if
Okay,
you'd like.
the answer to both questions will be like pretty much the same. So, why did I do it? I was already on Good Looking Loser, which is another website. Like, that's the website where I learned everything I know. And, like,
Mm,
I've learned all my other stuff, my own stuff as well. But, like, that website definitely got me laid, got me to improve myself, made me go to the gym, all of that. So, I owe that guy, Chris is the name of the owner. He's a legend. Like,
mm,
he absolutely changed my life. I was like very active on his forums. I posted
mm,
a lot. I shared all my journey. I overcame all the issues that I overcame. And the further along I got, I got really like ingrained in that community. I made a lot of friends. Like everyone there is awesome. Um, and I started helping other people, because like the more you work on your own goals, the easier it is to help other people. You want to, because you start
mm,
succeeding, you start thinking, like, that's why I set up my website. That's the why as
mm,
to why I set up my website, because you start thinking like, man, like my life used to be miserable and now it's really cool, and I don't want anyone else to have to suffer like I did, and I want everyone else to enjoy this stuff that I'm enjoying, because it's not as much fun if I'm doing. I know some
mm,
people like to get to the top and say like, I'm going to be here by myself, no one else can get here. I think that's weird. Like I want as many people at the top, because then I get to enjoy it with other people. It's like if I go to like an amusement park,
mm,
I want my friends to come with me because it's cool and I want to share it with them. I don't want to go to the
mm,
amusement park and no one else can go, because I just get lonely. But I posted on the forums. I started helping other people. I think that was after about a year of self improvement, maybe. I
mm,
started posting, helping other people, sharing the information I could. And then maybe a year after that, I was at a point where I would write like if someone had a problem, I would write like 20 paragraphs to them. I would just write. So I'd take like 2 or 3 hours to just write this really long thing to like change their life. And like a bunch of people like said like, holy crap, you changed my life. Like you need to have your own website. And I was like, no, I don't, just like imposter syndrome. I was like, I shouldn't have my web. Like who would listen to me? Like I'm just a weird, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can get laid, but I don't, it's kind of, I don't even know if I deserve to get laid a lot. And I definitely don't deserve to be giving advice, right? And so after enough people nagged me and kept saying like, do it, do it, do it. At some point, I literally said to one of my friends at the time, this guy called Dag, D-A-G, he
Mhm.
kept emailing me and like messaging me on Skype. We like used to have like video calls and stuff. Like we were good friends.
Mhm.
And he said like, dude, I'm gonna keep annoying you until you set up the website. And like he would email me all the time. And then finally, after like a month or two, I was like, dude, shut up. Okay, I'll set up the stupid website.
That's a good friend. That's a good friend.
Dude, I love this dude. Yeah, no, my God, this guy's good. But like, I set the website up, and then he was like, good. Now I'm gonna nag you until you write an article. And I was like, fucking you asshole. Like, and so the first article I ever wrote was that one, give yourself permission to suck, because I was really terrified of doing a bad job with like content creation. So I was like, okay, I just have to accept the fact that I'm going to do a bad job. And I wrote an article about how bad a job I was going to do. And it's still, I like that article. It's still a good article. It's the first one I ever wrote. And then from
I've
there,
actually
yeah,
read it. It was
it
cool.
was like, I wrote that in 45 minutes because I was wasting so much time not doing anything and not posting an article that I got so annoyed that I was like, right, 1 hour. I have 1 hour. I have to write something and publish it. I'm sick of this shit. 1 hour, go. I don't even care if I just write nothing, but I have to publish something in an hour. And I just wrote that. I didn't even have an idea. I just kind of was like, I have to write this stupid article. Here you go. I suck. Everything sucks. Like, it's okay to suck. And then I published it. And so
Mhm.
that's like it was probably like maybe 2 years after I first started my improvement. And the why was just because like, I don't know, I wanted to help other people. And like, I felt like
Mhm.
it would have been disrespectful for me to improve my life and then not help other people do the same thing,
Mhm.
because someone else helped me improve my life. And if I don't then give something back, like help other people, that's not, it's like I stole something. That would feel like I stole something. And I don't like the idea of theft or taking things from people or not giving back. Like that, those are my like principles, you know what I mean? So I didn't feel like it
Yeah.
was right that I could improve my life and then just keep that to myself. That felt fucked
Do,
up to me.
just out of curiosity, do you know the story of Buddha?
The Buddha, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Buddha.
Yeah. Yeah, what
There's
specifically?
like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities to the story with your own. Like there's this idea that if you achieve something but you don't help other people achieve it as well, it's not as good as allowing other people to enjoy your success, something like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
uh,
selfish.
yeah, pretty much. And the reason why I asked that question is because I actually got into content creation myself
Hmm.
about a year after doing the mushroom trip. This was like when I started applying into medical school. I started this blog in which I kind of like tracked my journey from the
Hmm.
warehouse to the medical program, and I also started like composing. I started uploading like my compositions to YouTube. Like I play like 4 instruments,
Hmm.
and I also recently saw your what was it called, the 365 project, like
Yep.
in which you like edited like photos or something. It was really cool. I like that a lot. And I started like drawing recently. I did the same thing, that I
Nice.
kind of like found a blog, and I established a blog with the idea of drawing every day for a year. And I've
Good.
been doing that for a month now, and I've already seen the results. And it's just really
Yeah.
interesting that people who sort of get on the track of self improvement seem to have this tendency of getting into content creation. Yeah, I don't know
I,
why it is.
I,
Mhm.
I, I don't know if it's like something inhuman. I'm guessing. I'm just gonna make this up because I don't know either. Maybe it's something in humans that, like, if someone gives you something, we do.
Mhm.
Most of us have that desire to like, okay, I have to give something back to the next person,
Mhm.
or I have to pay that person that just. I can't just take something. Like
Mhm.
most of us are selfless. Like most of us are pretty selfless people. There's some selfish people, sure, but most people want to give back. And I feel like if someone changed your entire life and improved it that
Mm-hmm.
much, you either want to pay that person or give them a
Mm-hmm.
big thank you like you did to me. I really freaking appreciate that, by the way. Or you want to then go like, okay, I want to do a little bit now. I want to start my own content creation. Like it's like you have all these, and don't forget that like you know this as well as I do. Like you came on this podcast because you have 5 million ideas. Like look how many things you've come
Mm-hmm.
up with, how many things you've said. Like you have a
Mm-hmm.
need. The further along you get with your self improvement, it's like I need to tell someone this. I don't know why. You just like I have to tell someone this. Like this has to come. I have to let this out. Like I learned
Mm-hmm.
so much. I made so many mistakes. I don't know. I just have to share this. I think that's like human nature that we want to share stories. We want to tell stories. We want to write things down. We want to
Mm-hmm.
educate other people. We don't just want to, maybe you can say it's also, you don't want to just live your life and be forgotten. So maybe content creation is like, there is a part of me that's doing it so that people after I die will, it won't be forever, but like maybe for like one generation will be like, yeah, Andy, look at, he's dead now, but like look at this cool website. So there's an idea of that as well. There's a part of that. Like maybe you want to share yourself so that you're not forgotten, so that everything you went through doesn't get ignored. Like all the
Mm-hmm.
struggles you went through, you don't want that to just disappear and you're the only one that remembers that. That's why we tell stories. That's why we tell people about our childhoods, about our struggles, about our victories, because we don't want it to have meant nothing. If you don't tell
Mm-hmm.
anyone, it means nothing. It means something to you. Okay, fine. It means something to one person, but it means a lot more if you tell 5 people. And it means a
Mm-hmm.
lot more if you tell enough people that then some of them go off and change their life. Now it
Exactly.
really
Like
means something.
exactly. That's something that I really like. That when you start improving yourself, as a side effect, if it like reaches enough people, some people might get inspiration from that to actually change their own lives. And I think that that is something that you've tapped into pretty well. Like I think that a lot of people like have been able to achieve things that they didn't think that they would have been able to otherwise achieve, like
Mhm.
after like following your writings and podcasts and stuff.
That's why I wanted you on the podcast. That's why I sent you that email after you wrote me the letter. And I was like, dude, other people need to hear your story. Like
Mm-hmm.
you will inspire other people. I guarantee you, someone will email me. I'll tell you. I'll forward it to you. I'll send you an email if like the first person that tells me something related to this podcast. So guys, if you're listening to this podcast and this podcast affects you in a positive way, if you go out and make some changes because of something you've heard in this podcast, please leave a comment. Please tell me. I would like Auntie to hear it. Like you deserve to hear it. But I think you will be surprised that like, yeah, this like just even hearing your story, people will be like, oh shit. Like, yeah, I identify with something you said. Okay, if you can do it, I can do it too. Yeah, I was an awkward virgin. I played video games. I was always like awkward in high school. Like, or I think what you will affect people with is your um, story about like I want to go to med school and it seems impossible, but whatever, I'll just go crazy. There are a lot of people that have dreams like that. Maybe it's starting a business, maybe it's going to university or something, and they're like, it's too hard. It's like just do what you've done, study like
Mm-hmm.
crazy for 4 months, like 8 to 10 hours a day. Just go hard, and you'll make it happen. I think you'll be surprised that there will be some people that get affected by your story. That's why I wanted you to come on, and why I appreciate that you did come on.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I'm sure if that would happen, that someone would comment, it would be nice to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, so make sure
Um,
you comment, guys. Don't keep that shit inside. Like honestly, don't keep that stuff inside. Like the more I'm a big fan of people sharing, and I really appreciate you sharing with me because you know this. Like as a content creator, like people don't always like tell you. Like they'll read 20 of your articles, they'll change their life, but they don't necessarily think to tell you because they just assume like, yeah, whatever, he knows, like he knows that he's helping people.
mhm.
But it is always freaking lovely. And I'm sure you want to hear, if this podcast has helped other people, you want to hear from people like, yeah, man, I identified with your story. You really helped me. Thank you. Like you want to hear that because it's
Of
nice.
course, of
It means
course,
all the struggles you went through were worth it. Because
exactly.
that's the other reason I share. And the other reason I think so many people who get into self-improvement do go on to make content is because if I went through all these struggles and then I share and then I get to help someone avoid those struggles, not only was it worth it for me to go through the struggles because I improved my own life, it's like I was making a sacrifice so that those people didn't have to. I was doing
Hmm.
something that's like for a greater good. It's like I went to war so that you guys could all be free. I
Hmm.
I had to go through hell and beat my depression and all this so that I could help like I don't know 10 people, 100 people, with that whatever, however many people. that was worth it for me. I laid down my sacrifice. You didn't do it for them at the time, but you know what I mean? It helps make it more worthwhile afterwards. You're like, yeah, I'm glad I went through depression because these people now don't have to. It was worth it for me to have to go through hell because, like, these 10 people or 100 people or whatever, they get to avoid the mistakes I made. That's really good. Like, my life was
Exactly,
worth something.
because it's impossible to like predict how your story is going to affect people. Like you can't
Yeah,
know really.
correct.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So that's why like you should at least try to like make content. Like even if most of it is shit,
yep,
most of it probably will be shit, but
yep,
some of it will be like just like you talk sometimes about the numbers game. Like if you produce enough content, some of it has to be good. It's just a statistical like reality.
yeah. Yeah, and that's like I can't even remember the article because I've written so many, but it was something like do a lot of content and some of it will be golden, some of it will be gold, something like that. And I basically
Yeah, something
said
like
just
that.
like you just have to do a lot of articles and some of them will be really good. Like that's it. Like that's the way you get good content. You don't just like sit down for 6 months and write a perfect article. I mean, you can do that, but it's way easier to just write 20 articles and like 3 of them will be amazing. Like
Hmm.
they just will be.
Absolutely.
We will start, unless you have something in particular you would like to talk about, we'll start winding down because I know you said you were pressed for time and we've gone like way over time.
How much is it? What's the
It's
time?
it's
right?
way past the time you said, hey, I only have till this time.
Yeah,
So
time flies.
it does. And it was really freaking fun talking to you. But before we wrap up, is there anything you want to shout out? Like, how can people find you if you want to stay anonymous? That's cool. But is there something you want to shout out? Anything you want to talk about? Any of that?
I think that I've said like everything like I have to say. It was really fun being on the podcast. I've actually never been on one. Me and some of my
Good job.
friends, like when we were still in high school, we were toying around with the idea of having our own podcast about like board games or something, but we never
Nice.
got around to it. So one thing off the bucket list.
Yeah, you did a good job. Like, I know you were a bit nervous at the start. I'm going to cut that
Yeah.
out so no one will hear that shit. But no, you did really good.
Okay, thanks. That's
Mr.
very
Like,
nice.
Mr. Oh, English isn't my first language. And then you're like, perfect the whole time. I tell you that every time. I tell everyone that, dude. Every time someone says English is not my first language, they're just like perfect English. Like, I feel like I'm talking to a native English speaker. And every time you're like, oh, I don't know one word. That means I'm bad at English. Oh, hey, I can't think of one particular word. My English sucks. It's like, no, idiot. Do you know how many English speakers can't think of English words? Like,
Yeah,
but no,
it's
you go.
yeah, it's just too easy to be self-conscious about something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
fine.
actually remember when was the last time I had like this long conversation in English. Probably like years ago. I don't speak it even on a like monthly basis, so it doesn't like flow out. But like when you speak for like 10 minutes, it just kind of starts working.
Yeah, it's like you're rusty, and then you get like used to it. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I will leave links to a couple of articles and stuff that we've mentioned. They'll be in the description below. Again, guys, if you liked this story, please leave a comment because I'm sure he'd love to hear that. That would be fucking awesome. He deserves to hear that because I think your story is really cool. Like genuinely, you made shit
Thanks.
happen. Yeah. And my final parting shot is, how do I say goodbye in Finnish? Well, no. Teach me a Finnish swear word.
I think you mentioned at some point that you've played like like games with Finnish people, so I think that you might be familiar with like perkele or vittu.
Vittu.
Yeah, vittu. It's like fuck, basically.
I like that.
Like
vittu.
Vittu. Yeah, you say it very very well. Say
So
it one
can
more
you-
time.
Vittu.
Very nice. Very
That's
nice.
like very bad. That's very bad. So can
Yeah,
you say goodbye? Can you say goodbye and fuck off? Can you say that in Finnish, please? And then we'll end the podcast. Goodbye and fuck off.
No niin, haista paska ja näkemiin.
Perfect. I don't like Finland, but their flag is a big plus. Something like that. It's like the worst joke that I've ever heard. But yeah, that's my only Finnish joke. That's the only joke I have.
It's a good icebreaker.
Or it's a good, like, everybody's going to leave the room after you say that.